Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. Now, I've been to a different area of Chester today, and I've called into the Age UK charity shop and found a number of men's shirts, and I nearly had apoplexy when I found these on the rail. Let me show you those shirts, and then let me talk you through these fabrics. And I want to show that I don't just buy men's cotton shirts. Right, well, this is the first of the men's shirts, and this is the one that's going to go most likely into a quilt first because it's great blues. And the pattern is not so much paisley, more of an Indian pattern. And it's by a company called Lambretta. There's a lot of fabric in here, and then I also find it in two separate colourways. First of all, let me show you the pattern design, which is absolutely fabulous. You know that I'm going to use that, don't you? And then it's a little bit more gaudy in the other two colourways that I found. Let me show you those two. It's actually a dark navy with peach and lilac and this pale blue tone in it, like a powdery blue. And it's really lovely. I can see me using that in patchwork. Again, it's a size 2XL men's shirt by Lambretta, and I'm likely to be able to place that because of the colours and the design in a quilt more than this next one. Let me show you. Exactly the same shirt then, but this design is on black and it's got deep reds and creams in it and browns. How fabulous is that? Now, I might not be able to fix that into a quilt, I'm not sure. I'd really have to think about the person that I was going to make that for and give that to. But I can see that being made up into bags, or can you imagine a makeup bag or something like that made out of this fabric? Now, I really couldn't resist, and I couldn't leave it there, could I? So that had to come home with me. Each of those shirts was £8.99. And I'm actually delighted now that I bought all three. But I actually found these pieces of fabric in an area where they had bedding and curtains. And they're not quilting cottons. The top one is. But let me show you and show you how I intend to use them. It's really pretty pale pink and pale greeny grey fabric. This one is a quilting weight cotton. Got a little bit of a sheen on it. I'll measure it to find out how much there is here, but I knew that I could make use of that in my stash with all the pinks that I have, because that would go with a pale pink. It would tone in with a grey as well. Now, if you develop a rapport with the staff in the shops, they might do like the lady in this shop did. When I was saying that I was very much wanting to buy all the shirts and more fabric, she said, I've actually got some in the back that we haven't managed to get out yet. Would you like to have a look? So I had first dibs, if you like, at a look at a bag of fabric. It was obviously from the same person. They've obviously had a clear out, and the lady's tastes were a little bit too vibrant for me, should we say. This was the only piece of quilting cotton that I wanted, but I think this lady has also donated this second piece of fabric that I found. And this is really bright and colourful. You can see that there's a huge amount of fabric there. This is a very soft, fine cotton needle cord. And you can see the mustard colours and the blues and the browns and a little bit of red on this. And it was £5.99. Now, there's no way I was leaving that there. I was more than happy to pay that amount of money for it. But that's because I knew as soon as I saw it that it would go with the fabric that I bought last week. Let me show you. It's actually the perfect contrast with the needle cord in a rust colour and with these doggies. This is the pyjamas prints that I bought last week, and as you can see, it's got the yellows, the rust colours, the reds, the deep blues, the teal. All those colours are in this needle cord fabric. So where I looked at that and said, well, I'm not quite sure I can make use of that, as soon as I saw the colourway, I knew I could combine it with these two and I'd have a great, even if it's only a 4-patch, what a great combination of fabrics. Now, because it's needle cord, it might be best used for picnic blankets or a heavier weight for bags, not just for quilts, because it might be too thick and heavy as a quilt. But for £5.99, I wasn't leaving that in the charity shop, and that's why that's come home with me today. I think the dogs like it too, don't you? I'm a collector of vintage Laura Ashley, and this design has been around since the 70s. This is Sweet Alison. It's not quilting cotton weight, it's actually thicker than that. I think you might be able to see. It's upholstery weight of fabric. I will measure it to find out how much there is here, but again, I paid £5.99 for this. Now, this would be perfect weight for curtains, bags, cushions, and if you saw the William Morris apron that I made from a friend, this would make up a lovely apron for a gardener. So I have those things in mind and an ideal purpose for using that. So the fact that we spotted, actually, the lady in the shop told me when I said I was looking for patchwork fabric, she said, have you seen the piece of Laura Ashley fabric that we'd got? And I hadn't spotted it. I hadn't seen it. It was actually hidden under something else. And I'm more than happy to bring them home with me and bring new life into them. When you go to the charity shops, don't just look for quilting cottons. Have a rummage and see what else you can find that you can make good use of. I'm really going to enjoy sewing with this, aren't I? This fabric is 45 inches wide. There's 2 3/4 yards here, and I paid £1.49 for it. Now, this sort of design reminds me of flower fairies, and I think that would go lovely in a little girl's quilt. I might look into helping Project Linus and make some quilts for little girls and then donate them. This is perfect type of fabric, my sort of prices. The charity have benefited from me today, and a charity in the future might benefit from me turning this into something useful. It really wasn't hard to find place for that fabric in with my pinks and reds in my fabric stash. There's approximately 2 yards of this upholstery fabric by the designer, and it's 44 inches wide, and there's really wide selvages as well. And because we've got that designer print on it, I'll try and use those for something like handles. I won't discard that selvage edge. And I paid £5.99 for that piece. Now, this fabric is 60 inches wide, and there's over 4 yards of this. I don't know whether I'll be able to use all of this, but there's nothing stopping me from using what I want and then donating some of this back to a charity shop again. That way, the charity shop benefits twice. £5.99 I paid for that huge piece. So, although I call it recycling, I don't think this shirt's ever been worn. I don't think any of these 3 shirts have ever been worn. I'm just repurposing the fabric. The fabric might be considered to be recycled because it was donated and it's come from somebody else's stash. But just when you go to the charity shops and you have a look around, look in all areas, develop a rapport with the staff, and you might just find that they find a gem. And sometimes they'll knock a little bit off the price for you as well. She was more than happy to take my money. I spent £36 and made a donation in the charity shop today because that charity has helped me in the past few months. And I'm more than happy to do that. Next time I go, which might be in 6 months' time, I'll be sure to go back to that charity shop just to see what's there on the shelves, on the rails next time. For now, this is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter. I've got some unpicking to do, but come back and join me again soon, won't you, for some more sewing, some more crafting, and just spending time together. Bye.